3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fill in the Blank, episode 5. We've got Julio's Pizza on the line. What up, guys?
Hi.
Thank you guys so much for joining me. We just did like the quick, recap of what this is, and I'm still figuring it out. So as I was telling you guys, I'm still trying to like get my own soundboard off as to what I'm trying to accomplish on these things. And, before we start getting into it, right, why don't you guys kind of just introduce yourselves super quick, whatever the 4-sentence as to who you are, and then let's get into it.
Cool.
Ladies first.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Erin. I'm one of the co-owners of Julio's Pizza Company. My background's, I guess, kind of more in music. I graduated with a marketing degree from Hofstra University, but I don't think I ever really used it, to be honest. I feel like it really was more about connections that I got from college rather than a degree, to be honest. And never really thought about going into the restaurant business as an owner, let alone a pizzeria really. But since being a musician, you got to pay the bills somehow. I've literally worked in food service since I was 16. And when Brendan and I got the opportunity, we kind of were like, well, let's put this experience to work. So that's my kind of role in Julio's. I also run the social media. Yep. And a lot of kind of the fundraisers and community outreach.
Which is dope. I love the TikTok.
They're
really
to be honest, we haven't really expounded that much on the TikTok. My 16-year-old cousin works here, and she was the one that was like, you guys have to get a TikTok. And we haven't been as aggressive with posting as we need to be, but I basically told her name's Regina. I was like, Regina, you're running our TikTok. I have no idea how to do this. So she edits like the couple of videos that we have up there, and we need to get back on it.
But, I love it. I mean, the dancing in front of the ovens, I mean, that's just... That's a vibe.
We're trying to be hip with the kids.
I love it. No, I love it. All right, Brendan, introduce yourself.
I'm being hip with the kids. We're just trying to have fun here. But I'm Brendan Smith. I'm Erin's partner in business and in life, and in parenting.
Baby daddy.
Yeah.
Baby daddy, as some would call it. I run more of the day-to-day operations here, the pizza, customer service, scheduling, ordering, all that fun stuff. So while Erin's at home doing the social media most of the time and taking care of Charlie, our baby, and paying our bills, at the shop, kind of interacting with everybody and making sure everything's running smoothly here at the restaurant.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, I just saw not posted the video. We just saw a little bit of a video of her when Erin moved the camera. She's gorgeous, dude.
Oh yeah. So gorgeous. Charlie May is our almost 4-month-old. She's right here. I'm feeding her. So if I keep looking down, I'm trying to make sure she's okay.
Don't worry about it. She's in the little car seat, just kicking it. I know how it is, man. I mean,
she's got her little Julio shirt on too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute, dude. So, I mean, when I thought about inviting you guys, the first thing, I mean, Brendan, you and I go way back, right? I mean, many house parties, many shows, many everything, and like kind of the crew of it all, and
many icings,
many oh dude, yeah, that's
icing like cake, icing like Smirnoff.
Yes. I don't even want to get into that taste in my mouth just never really goes away.
Ditto.
But anyway, the things that I thought about was just that, like to see where you guys are right now. It's funny, some of the guys that I'm having on the podcast, it's like we were friends during a certain period of our lives, and like there's a gap, and then I'm seeing what they're doing now, and like I'm a fan from afar, you know what I mean? And it's cool to like keep up on social media and stuff like that, but I'm using this excuse of starting a podcast to kind of like reconnect with a lot of people and get to know them in a different light. So, you guys have so many dope things going on, whether it's starting a business, being new parents. I mean, when you guys think about it all, how are you guys doing it? Like that blanket of a question, like are you guys literally just like keeping it light, or what is going on?
I think, keeping it light is important. There's heavy moments. I think it's just living in the moment though, and taking each moment as it comes, knowing that you can handle things. You're not going to be given anything that you can't handle, and having the support of friends and family that we know are just. We couldn't have built Julio's without our friends and family here helping us for an entire month do renovations. And
I was gonna say, when we did renovations, we didn't spend $1 on labor. It was all friends and family. It was just everybody. We paid everybody in pizza. Like everyone was eating good the entire time. Brendan would just like cook up pizzas every time somebody would come and paint or do floors or do staining or something. We had friends come in to check out our equipment. I mean, a little bit like revealing, we kind of bought like a rundown pizza place. Like this place was not open for many months. I mean, we kind of hopped on an opportunity because it was so cheap, because the guy was just trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And to be really honest, I think at some points we were like, did we just bite off a little bit more than we could chew, kind of thing. But there was always people in our corner rooting for us and saying that they would help out. I mean, I think the thing that we learned through all of this was like, you really have to reach out to your network. Like there's so many people that know so much more than us, and we had no idea what we were doing when we got into this, to be honest. But we knew a lot of people who did. And so if we needed help with procedures, like I reached out to my old manager. If we had questions about equipment, I had friends who worked in a like do random stuff, like check out our oven or our literally falling apart pizza bench that now completely works because our friend like did a couple things to it. So
I love that.
I think reaching out to your network and using your network, that's how this place got built. It is not because Brendan and I like know how to run a pizza place.
Well, I mean, I think everyone's run things differently, right? And then it has to work for you, and there's strengths that you have and there's weaknesses that you have to enroll other people to help. And one of the cool things that I've noticed, like, you know, I'm not good at a lot of things, right? Like I can't put shit together. I can't put things on a wall. You know, I have to ask friends. Like I've run out of friends to help me move. Like I can never move again, you know? And if I do, I have to like literally do it myself.
You're going to have to up the ante from pizza to steak next time.
Yeah. I should do that. I should give them Julio gift cards.
There you go.
We have this.
So let's talk about the business for a little bit. Then I want to go into how you guys met. But like, who's one person that surprised you that, you know, whether you asked them directly for help or you didn't ask them for help, that was kind of like out of left field that really made an impact on getting Julio's like going?
I don't know if anybody was really out of left field. We didn't really get into it expecting everybody to chip in the way that they did. It just kind of naturally happened, I would say.
I don't think we realized how much help we needed, honestly.
That too.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys have to get a loan? Like, I mean, did this come out of your pocket? Like, how did you guys finance, like, starting a new business and stuff like that?
Sorry.
Oh my
God.
God.
Like Erin said, we found it was dirt cheap for a turnkey business. It was not expensive, but Erin opened up a line of credit off of having you.
Yeah, I basically my father passed away in 2011, and I acquired money. I don't know, trust fund, I guess, and I've just never really touched it because I was like, this is my dad's money. I feel weird, maybe like down the line buying a house or something. And when we saw this opportunity, I basically contacted my money manager, who I had literally never talked to before that, and was like, hey, we want to open a pizza business. And I know so many people, we said to them, oh, we're going to buy this pizza shop. And he's like, do you know anything about pizza? And I was like, well, Brendan's worked in a pizzeria. Like, we can figure it out. I've worked in food service. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how that happened. But to be really honest, like, we did all of this pretty dirt cheap because we had so much help.
And was it always pizza? Or was there ever a conversation around, let's start a jewelry business? Or like was it always pizza?
I think it was always pizza. I had worked with some people that I was interested. It's something I've kind of always been interested in for a while, and came from the same place of Erin, of getting into food service because you're a musician and it allows you the freedom to be able to go play gigs on certain nights if you can just get a cover. And so having been in food industry and pizza specifically since I was 17, so almost 20 years, it's something that I've always chatted about. And then finally last year when we found out we were going to have Charlie, and it's like,
that was really what it was.
Yeah.
We got pregnant and we were like, oh shit, what do we do? Because I was a bartender.
Do you remember where you were that day? So like, I remember like when Kat and I found out, we were in the CVS parking lot and I had Cheetos and a blue Gatorade, and she had come out of the bathroom and she took one test and then she bought a bunch of others to do at home, and she was like, it came out positive. I'm like, oh boy, what do we do? That's that what do we do now moment. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
That's so.
You guys couldn't even wait to get out of CVS to figure out either.
I mean, I did mine in Target, but I told him at the house. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I found out at the house.
Yeah. And we always say like she was part of the plan, but she wasn't planned. And it really kind of lit a fire under our ass to like get our shit together, really.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I loved bartending, and Brendan loved working at the pizza shop, but Serpico's, which is in Allenhurst, and but like in reality, there was nothing like pushing us to get out beyond that, like beyond the bar. I mean, we were doing gigs as musicians, but yeah. And I remember his sister, who lives in Atlantic Highlands, we've come here before, we were living in Allenhurst before that, was like, hey, it kind of was one of those serendipitous things. She contacted us and said, I need a tenant because I'm tired of renting to people who just like break their leases. Do you guys want to live here? And we sat at Brick Wall, which is a restaurant in Asbury Park. Yeah. And we were like, do we want to move to Atlantic Highlands? Like, what are we going to do in Atlantic Highlands? We're pregnant. Like, what's our plan? And I remember saying to Brendan, isn't there a pizza shop up for sale? And we ended up looking online on the database. Brendan texted his sister.
I'm going to refer to Brenda for the rest of this interview.
Brendan texted his sister and said, hey, is that pizza place still up for sale on First Ave? And the next day, Brendan was in here with a realtor looking at the space.
Wow. So it was there. It was that click.
Yeah.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. Dude, so like, let's take it back. Let's zoom out, right? I love talking, and we'll talk more about Julio's, and we'll talk more about Brenda. But like,
Brenda.
Erin, I know nothing about you.
Yeah.
Your daughter is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I love the headpiece right now. But like, so you mentioned you're not from Jersey, right?
No.
So, you know, you're one of 4 on here that's not from Jersey. So tell us, I mean, dude, talk to me a little bit about how how did you meet this guy? And then intertwine the story about how you came to Jersey, and from somebody who's transplanted here, like how you feeling about it?
So, okay, ready for this.
Heavy
this is
question,
a story.
yeah.
I'm going to try to make it quick.
Let's go.
So my mom is from Jersey. My mom was born and raised actually in Allenhurst.
Nice.
Salon L is her childhood home.
Okay.
So she's one of 10. She has a huge family, 9 girls, 1 boy, like our house. Yeah, crazy. So my mom went to college in DC, met my father, and raised myself and my brother in Maryland. But we would always come to Jersey and like see my cousins and my family. Though we are a huge family, we're very close. Mm-hmm. Anyway, fast forward a little bit. I was living in New York. I've lived in LA. I lived in New York. I was living in New York, and I was supposed to go to like dinner and drinks with my cousins out in Asbury Park. And we went out, and before we went out to like APYC, which was like when the cousins were gonna like, be doing shots and getting crazy. We went to Anchor's Bend, which is another bar, and we met up with our aunts and everything. And it was just really cool for me because living in New York, I was like, oh, I get to see my family a lot. I always loved New Jersey. I always said to my mom growing up, like, can we move to New Jersey? I want to be closer to my family. Kind of
really?
thing. Yeah.
Were you taking the ferry or were you taking the train?
I think I was taking the train at this point. Anyway, so I remember seeing my aunt and my uncle, and they were like, they're such a beautiful couple, my Aunt Ellen and my Uncle Bill. And I was like, what do you guys like do to like stay together forever? And my Aunt Ellen was just like, we're just nice to each other. We're just nice.
And she said, just be kind to each other.
Just be kind to each other. Yeah.
That's true.
And I was very single and like very okay with it at that point in my life. But I was also like 28 and feeling like the clock was ticking anyway. So we go to APYC, girls are getting drinks, we're having fun, 5 cousins from 5 different moms, like whatever.
Wow.
Having a great time. And my cousin goes outside and I come out with her and we run into Brendan and she goes, "Oh, Erin, this is Brendan, Erin."
Oh, so they had known each other.
Yeah, he worked on her EP when he worked in a studio at Lake House.
Okay. Cool.
And so the first thing I said to him was, "Wow, you have really nice teeth." And he said, "You have really nice teeth." And then, and we ended up just chatting all night long. I know, he's smooth.
Smooth.
Smooth as chunky peanut butter.
Yeah.
And we ended up talking the whole night. And, kind of funny enough, my cousin Megan was like, "Can you guys just exchange phone numbers? Like, we want to hang out with Erin, like, go away, Brendan," basically. Yeah. Anyway, I come home with my cousins to my aunt and uncle's house that night, and my uncle wakes up because we're like drunk at this point. And I essentially said, "I met the guy I'm going to marry," to him. Yeah. First night.
What was it? Tell me. Like, it
was that there was no pressure on the conversation, and I felt like he wasn't trying to get in my pants.
Yeah, that's true. Hey.
I mean, it just was a nice conversation. We literally probably talked for like an hour and a half, and it felt like 15 minutes. Like, it was just like we were just talking about music, and I don't even know if we went into politics, but like we just
probably not.
Yeah.
Started with teeth and ended with Trump.
Yeah. And anyway, it was just a good conversation. Lo and behold, the next morning, my uncle brings up to everyone at the breakfast table, like, "Erin said she met the guy she was going to marry last night." I'm like, "What? No, I didn't. I don't remember this." And my aunt says, "Who is it?" And I said, "This guy named Brendan Smith." And my aunt goes, "Brendan Smith, his mom is one of your mom's friends from high school, Erin." And I go, "What?" Anyway, my mom and his mom were friends in high school. There's like pictures of my mom pregnant with my older brother hanging out with his mom at like, yeah, it's just weird.
And it keeps getting weirder. Like her aunt, one of her aunts used to hang out at my parents' house. My parents had a 2-family house and they rented one of them out, and her aunt used to hang out there and remembered me as a baby. There was so much weird intertwining.
And we've always both been musicians, so both of our moms knew each other. But of course, I was in Maryland, she was in New Jersey, he was in New Jersey, and so we just never crossed paths. Yeah. And the funny thing was, we ended up doing it on our own. So, yeah.
I find
long
that so
story short, I moved to Jersey.
Like, you had never crossed each other's paths until that time. So you were 27 when you met?
I was 28.
28?
27.
I was
20. You were turning 30.
Turning 31 probably.
Yeah. That's right before your 31st birthday.
Yeah.
It was meant to be. You guys were ready to meet each other. But still, I mean, just that much in common from the family and then never crossing paths is insane.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
What part of New York?
I hope I made that short.
No, you did. You did. Perfect. You guys are doing great. What part of New York were you living in?
I was living in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay, cool.
Can't you tell by my hat?
No, you never know. A lot of people in Asbury dress that way too.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. So you compliment her teeth. Your families are friends. Now and then you just have a baby together. I mean, did you guys?
There were a few dates in between. We went out to the next day. We spent at the beach with some of her family. Eric came out, our mutual friend Eric Castellano, and we went to the fair that night in Ocean Township. And
our first kiss was on a Ferris wheel.
That's my boy. Well played.
Yeah, had the long game. The long game.
Was
he nervous? Was he nervous, Erin, on the Ferris wheel, or?
Yes, of course he was. I think we like both knew what. Well, he wanted to go. What's the one where you?
The zipper.
He wanted to go on the zipper, and I was like, I'm gonna puke. We just ate like the most fried food ever. Yeah. And
so I settled for the Ferris wheel and a make out.
And I was I was actually filling in on New York radio that week. It was a Saturday night we met. Sunday we went to the beach and then to the fair.
Yeah, and you left at like 4 a.m. Monday morning.
No, I left it on the like 11 something train to be at the studio at 3 or 4 a.m.
So wait, so what were you doing prior to this? What was your job at that point?
So I was a bartender, but I have since college, I was on The Voice, and I also was on The Biggest Loser. Yeah.
Oh my God, we have a celebrity.
So I did a lot of reality TV, and then from that it led to some hosting gigs, and then I was working at that point on Fresh 102. It was Fresh 102.7. Now it's New 102.7 in the city. Oh, wow. I was filling in. I wasn't a kind of day player, but I was like a go-to. And that week after we met was the week that I was filling in. And so I remember walking into the studio and was like, I met the guy I'm going to marry. I kissed him on a Ferris wheel. Let's do a show on 1 hour of sleep kind of thing.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Did any good music come out of that?
We've written together. Yeah. We haven't released anything that we've written, but to be honest, because of this place, like music has been a little bit on the back burner, which we keep bringing up. Like we gotta get back to music.
You guys are still collaborating. I mean, this is like.
We collaborated.
Yeah, this is that's the
Charlotte
there.
I mean, to be honest, music really took a back burner when we first got involved with this, and so like we were playing some gigs through early last summer, and then when we got the wheels turning with this, we stopped. But since we had Charlie, that's like our morning routine is to hang out on the couch and pull the guitar out. So she's kind of brought the music back to us, which is
nice. It's huge because they love it, you know.
Yeah, she does.
Like you can tell. Like my daughter, my wife and I, we get a little scared sometimes because we throw on like rap music. Like I like rap music, so I'll throw and she'll just kind of like bounce, and I'd be like, don't do that. Like she's ready for the club already.
I know.
Put
your butt back in your pants.
Oh my God! And it's like, you know, we're young guys. We have girls. You know, that's a whole nother segment in itself. But it's amazing.
Daddy's girls, though, it's a beautiful thing.
Dude, it's the best. Like now she says, like wait until she says like Papa, Mama, and those words come out. You just melt. There's nothing you can do.
It's making my heart swell.
Penelope dropped a whole box of Cheerios yesterday, like right in front of me. And, like, it took everything not for me to, like, lash out because she's so cute. And I'm just like, oh, man, like, I'm such a wuss for not yelling at her. But also it's like, you're perfect. And you say, like, she's like, Papa. I'm like, oh.
Aww.
And she does this thing where she goes, like, uh-oh. So
I know. Like, part of me can't wait for that. But also I'm trying to, like, take in all of this, too. Yes. It's really hard because I'm a worrier, so I'm like jumping ahead like 12 years. I'm already like, how are we paying for college? Like, yeah.
You'll have time. Believe me. It's like when they don't start going to school till like 4 or 5. So you guys are in the first 2 months for us were really tough. Penelope had colic, so that was even tougher. It was like an eagle in your ear constantly. And after we got through the 2.5 month mark, it got a little easier. But enjoy while she's not walking. You guys are in tummy time.
That's what everyone says.
Going like her touching stuff, like it's
childproof in the house.
Yeah, we had to put up gates. We have gates now. Most of my living room is padded hardwood floor. If you guys need that, I'll send you the link. I'll put it in the thing below for all the new parents. But yeah, my wife does a lot of that stuff. I have to say, like, Kat is really good about making sure that we have like books and stuff like that. She stays on that for progression. But again, I recommend to anybody who has the facilities to do it. Au pairs are huge, especially for us. It was very important that she speaks Spanish right first and then learn English. So we're like a Spanish speaking household at this point. My Spanish has gotten everybody's Spanish has gotten better.
Nice.
That's good.
Erin's mom bought me Babbel for Christmas, so I can.
Nice. There you go.
So I communicate better with our kitchen staff.
Are you guys? So what's your nationality? Is there any other languages besides English being spoken in the home right now? Or
no, not in the home.
Not in the home. We're hoping that like being around. I mean, our staff here is awesome.
Yeah.
And most of them are Spanish speakers.
Even our manager. Yeah, she's Puerto Rican. She speaks both. Yeah.
So like we love. Growing up in this atmosphere, maybe not as a first language, but definitely as
it can rub off on her and she can be around it.
100%.
I found that working in kitchen, I learned more Spanish working, whether it be any jobs, just working with Spanish people where you need to where you're forced to communicate with somebody that way than in the classroom.
100%. Yeah, in the
So much
classroom
more.
too, it's a different atmosphere. You learn conversation. That's how I learned too, man. I mean, you know, like my family, I'm Peruvian and Puerto Rican, but in my home, my mom and dad didn't talk Spanish at home. They talked English. So whether it was with my grandma or whether it was, you know, with cousins, I had to learn somehow. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be able. I just sit there quiet. And I would go crazy.
And hope you can follow what's going on.
Yeah, I got a gist. You kind of get a gist for the sounds in the beginning, and then you start to kind of, you know, say like 3 words, a phrase, and then you go from there. So
yeah, you learn all the dirty words first too.
Yeah. Do you miss, like, I mean, now that you're the boss, do you miss kind of like being the head person now, or do you miss being kind of like the, you know, the camaraderie of having a few other people in the kitchen and doing your thing? And I mean, how do you think of that?
I guess you could say that there's like some lonely moments of people kind of trying to appease everybody, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Being the boss is hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that transition. Like, I don't want to be a manager or manage people because I feel like that just takes the fun out of it. But like, I mean, I guess it's how you look at it.
Also, we wanted to bring a culture in here though where people enjoyed coming to work, where there was energy, people have smiles on their faces, want to be friendly with customers and with each other. So we really try to facilitate that as much as we can. And I think that starts with us.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, can you give me 1 second just to...
So talk to me a little bit about that, Erin, right? During this when did you guys first open the doors?
So our first day open we did like a soft open.
Yeah.
There was an event, the Atlantic Highlands Car Show, which is right on First Ave, which we are on. And everyone in town was like, you guys got to be open for the car show. Like, it's a big event in town. We were open, I think, like just modified hours that day, like from like maybe noon to 6 or something.
Yeah.
It was packed the entire time. And then our actual open day was the following Thursday, October 17th. And yeah, I mean, we really got lucky with the location. We were in a town, I mean, Jersey loves their pizza, number one. And this neighborhood like really didn't have any good pizza that they loved. And so everyone was, when we opened, I think we were kind of overwhelmed with the support. Because number one, we're a new place. Number two, we're new owners. Number three, we're still trying to figure out like how to do things procedure wise. Like, I've opened a restaurant, but it was a chain. So there was already all these ways of doing everything to be implemented. I remember there were moments where it was insane. The rail of tickets was like unending. And in the middle of it, Brendan's like, stop doing this, do this. Like, we need to try something else. Yeah. Or
Yep.
I would jump in the middle and be like, Chris, his brother who was working for us, I'd be like, Chris, can you go to the back and just focus on the fryer stuff?
Yep.
I'm going to do this. Like, we were a shit show.
Yeah. It's just the realness, right? I mean, it's just like, that's what happens when you're running a restaurant. That sort of stuff, like, it was a good problem to have. Too.
Yeah, and I mean, you get it under control as you learn. And the other big thing I think was the space, learning the space and how to work it. It's shaped differently than other pizzerias that I've been in. It's,
I'd never worked at a pizzeria before.
So, I mean, just learn, like, how are we bringing the dough?
Which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because, like, when you come into a chain, they already have their procedures. They already have their right way of doing things because they've dealt with a lot of shit in the beginning and they had to put in steps. But you kind of have a freedom to be a little different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Erin, having not been in pizzerias, kind of brings a fresh perspective as to, like, well, why don't we do it this way? Originally, we talked about doing sandwiches off the bat. And because any pizzeria I've been in, we've done sandwiches. It's standard. And Erin's like, well, we're a pizza company. We're not a pizzeria. We're a pizza company.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the pizza and nail that down. And although it looks like it's something we're going to be bringing in, we did want to nail down certain things first. We wanted our pizza to be killer. And
we've
achieved that.
Yeah. And I was going to say, sorry to cut you off, but like, I think we've learned a lot from our customer base too, like what they need. there's a lot of people who are very particular about their pizza. And so introducing on our menu like a thin crust option, because that's how a lot of people like it, but our thin crust isn't as thin as some thin crust lovers, so doing that, and then also listening in on a lot of people coming in asking for sandwiches, because that's something that they're used to. Like I can't tell you how many people have walked in without looking at the menu, say, can I get a chicken parm sandwich? And it's kind of like half of you has to hear what the customer's saying. Like, okay, if 5 people a day are walking in asking for a chicken parm sandwich, like maybe there's a problem that we could solve here, but also teaching them like what we do. Okay, well, we're a pizza company right now. We're doing pizza, but we're open to it in the future, and learning as much as we're explaining who we are.
I love the way you articulated that, because I think that's so relevant in so many areas, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times I get a customer who's always asking for the same feature over and over and over again. And then my company's like, well, no, we're not going to do that because the demand's too high, or that will deviate us from our direction. We do this right. So like, where do you stand your ground? Where do you where's the customer right? And where do you find that balance? Because you do have to stay true to like your mission, right? And what you're doing well, because if let's say you move into chicken parms or you move into sandwiches, that's a cost center that doesn't go the way you want to go. You've lost money, but you've learned. I don't know, how do you think of that? Like, where do you guys experiment when it comes to that?
Well, the sandwiches, because it's something from the beginning that we had talked about a little bit, and it's something that a lot of customers have asked for. Like Erin said, we get people coming in just ordering a cheesesteak or ordering a chicken or meatball parm, and it's like, hey, we don't do this yet. But I think the way that we're going to approach it is by bringing it in very basically. We're going to have a very small sandwich menu. We're going to try to incorporate it so that we're bringing in bread, and then all the other ingredients that we have for pizzas, we can make sandwiches with what we have there. So we're not really going to be carrying any new inventory other than bread. So we're going to make our sandwich menu based on what we've already got in our refrigerators at the moment.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
yeah, so simplicity.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing for, at least in my vision. Sometimes I will say, having 2 people, especially in a relationship and a parenting situation, like,
let's get into that.
Like,
I want to know that
we've had 2 different versions of how we see this going, and meeting somewhere in the middle, or sometimes closer to my opinion and sometimes closer to his. Because like, his whole thing with sandwiches was like, well, every place I've gone to has sandwiches. And I'm like, that's great. We're not every place you've gone to before. And I know my perspective from someone who, once again, did not grow up in Jersey around Jersey pizzerias. Whereas he's the one like has been hanging out in pizzerias since he was like on a bike. Like, my whole thing was like, why do these places have insanely humongous menus? It's so overwhelming. Number one, and number 2, like, where are they keeping all this shit? Like, and so being able to focus on something smaller, and especially also like the thing that on most of those menus that has the highest margin, has given us the ability to then say, okay, well, now we're going to experiment with desserts. Now we're going to experiment with meatballs or rice balls. Or we're just going to add in specials here and there, see what people like, see what people gravitate towards, and then we can kind of shift as we go and grow.
Yeah, no, I mean, that completely makes sense, right? I think that if, let's say that the t-shirts, right, you're making whatever margin you're getting on that, if you sell those, that gives you the leeway to then experiment with a little bit more, like Zeppelis, whatever it is, you're not losing, right? You're winning on that margin. How many t-shirts do you guys have left of the OG t-shirts?
I think we have like 10 or something like that.
How much are they going for each?
$20.
All right. Can I buy half of them?
What? Why?
Yeah, I want to buy 5 because I want, first off for me, and then I'm just going to give them away on this, on my social too. So I'll take half.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
We're down.
So let's talk about this too, because one of the things that I don't know is that I don't know how I would operate if I had to work with my wife, because number one, having a kid, your relationship.
We don't either.
Yeah. So, I mean, as lightly or as deeply as you want to get, like, how do you guys think about that? How do you how do you diffuse conversations? How do you not let it get to the home? Or how do you just kind of, is there a process that you have? Is there a, hey, you're coming from this version, like, or is it not even that analytical?
I think it's important that it's in the home. I mean, like I don't want to say it's consumed our lives, but it is our life. So we're so passionate about it that we are talking about things at home. There's always moments where it's like, all right, we're exhausted on this. Let's just like not talk about Julio's for the time being.
Yeah.
But the fact that it is our lives and it's kind of it's totally our passion. It's important that we talk about a lot of these things at home, and like just kind of being relaxed on the couch is a really good way to figure out some problems in a relaxing environment where you're not kind of in a stressful kind of office situation where you're really trying to hash this out. And you know how they say when you're trying to remember something, it's let your brain rest and it'll just come to you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, where I think a lot of things get solved while we're just hanging out, vegging on the couch at the end of the
night. And I will kind of put it out there that like we're still working on that part, I think, is trying to figure that out. One thing that I think has helped us a little bit more is not staying in our lane, but knowing what our goals are and who's responsible for what. Like Brendan is here more day to day, and he has more of a relationship with the employees when it comes to like those hard conversations about their schedules or pay or anything like that. Where to be honest, sometimes he'll come to me and he's like, I'm stressed about this. And he asks my kind of outside opinion.
Yeah.
And then there's times when, you know, our social media is lacking and he'll just be like, hey, I haven't seen a post in a day. Can like we make sure we get something up there? Mm-hmm. And I mean, both of us can be a little
sides. I think there's important insights from both sides. Because when you're living in it day to day, there's certain things you can't see. Mm-hmm. And then when you're kind of at this level watching from the outside, you know, there's certain things that you can see too that maybe Brendan's just a blind spot for him. And there's important insights on both sides. I think that's
absolutely.
I think we've always, one thing I do think we do well is we communicate really well, just as friends and companions.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't get me wrong, we're both stubborn, and like there'll be times where I'm like, Brendan, we got to do this, and he's like, no, and I'll have to like go back in my corner and like rethink my strategy and come back and be like, try to make it his idea, or just
approach this in a new way.
Yeah, let me present this in a new way. It's like, yeah, it's like trying to ask your mom to buy you something, and the first time she says absolutely not, and then you kind of think of the reasons why she would want you to have that thing, whether it be a bike or, you know, like a bicycle. You think like, oh, Mom, I want a bike. And your mom thinks like, well, that's like, well, this would be really horrible if Mom thought this, but like, that's dangerous or whatever. And then, you know, she just shuts you down. You walk away, you kind of rethink your strategy, come back and you say, well, I can exercise and I can learn coordination. I can be independent and all these different things. And then your mom might say, those are good skills. Like, and I think that way of communicating and that
it forces us to think things out a little more. We challenge each other for sure. We had this talk the other day about how that's part of what I love about our relationship, is that we challenge each other. I think that's a healthy relationship.
And the communication is so, I mean, it's huge in any partnership, right? Business, love relationship, anything, because if it's inside, it's never going to get solved. You have to let it breathe and live out here. That's the only way it's going to get out, right? So like sometimes, you know, in my communication style, sometimes I just blurt things out and it's like this stream of just like, and it sounds conflicting and it sounds this. And my wife's like, what are you talking about? But I need to get that out so that she understands where I'm coming from. She can digest it however she wants to. And then we come back and kind of figure it out, right? Because I don't have a perfect thought process. I'm kind of a squirrel when it comes to these things. So, but it works in certain areas, right? That's why you need the yin and the yang sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm more of you. I'm the kind of person that just like blurts out what's on my mind. Whereas Brendan's someone that more so digests what he hears, sits on it, and then comes up with a solution, which can be frustrating at times for me.
It has its positives and it has different impacts, right?
Yeah.
I think that sometimes when you're like us, you could be perceived as unorganized. You could be perceived as spontaneous. You could be seen as irresponsible, where on Brendan's side, sometimes you could be seen too conservative, or you could be seen as not a risk taker. Like there's different, like it's subjective. It's completely subjective. It's got to be what works for you. And that's one thing that I'm learning about other people as I'm talking to them, kind of being like, hey, like, how do you think about it? Like, I think I'm crazy sometimes, but like the more people I hear that are like Erin, I'm like, oh man, there's like clubs of us, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good to have a combination of both. Balance is always a healthy thing.
And I think being a little crazy is good.
Yes, I think so too.
Because if we weren't, we wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't have this pizza, you know? And like even questioning you're crazy, like I think there have been multiple times where I'm like, are we crazy for doing this? Are we crazy? And one thing that's helped me out, I listen to this podcast. Brendan's gonna be like, oh my God, I bring it up all the time. I listen to this podcast, this NPR podcast called How I Built This.
Oh, how, okay.
And it's all about entrepreneurs and literally everyone from like the women who built Soul Cycle to I don't know, literally everything. All about Pan, like Lululemon.
Yep.
You could go on and on and on. He talks to the owners of all these companies, and they all had moments where they doubted themselves and they were wondering if they were doing something right. And a lot of them had moments where they were kind of faking it till they made it. And I think that's a big thing for us. Like so many of our friends are like, oh my God, you guys have this pizza shop. That's so cool. And there are days where I feel like we have to like be like, what are we doing? Like I've never ordered food before for a restaurant. I've never made a purchase order. I've never,
it's
written up an invoice.
Isn't it amazing how people kind of react to you just by you doing it? They're not so much concerned about that you're doing it right or wrong. Just the courage that you had to actually go for it. Some people just find that very motivating. I think that's something that, I want to get out of this podcast, right? Like, even if it's the fact that you guys jumped in head first, even though, having a kid, like there's all these reasons not to. And you guys look into the reasons as why it works. And I think that's something that people can really benefit from, because I know a lot of people that live in their own heads. And the reality that they've crafted for themselves in their own heads makes them shape what they're going to do. And I think those people like the Lululemons and the Bon Pons and all those people, when they think to themselves, am I crazy? Like, am I doing the right thing? And I think that the way they think is like, if I'm even asking myself that question, I'm doing the right thing. I'm going into an uncomfortable situation that I'm going to come out stronger for, even if I fail or not fail. It's that's the game.
Yeah, that's been a huge perspective, I think, of us, has been like, if this doesn't work, we've learned a shit ton.
Yes.
Like, that's kind of always been our perspective. And like, yes, it's been really scary. Have we made much money yet? Not yet. But like,
but the lights are on, everybody's paid, we're not losing a lot of money.
And then who's to say what's a lot of money?
Yeah. Charlie's happy.
Yeah. That's it. That's all that matters, guys. I mean, that's it, right? So, okay, cool. So I've had you here for 58 minutes, and I appreciate every second of it. This has been awesome.
Really?
Yeah, I know, it goes fast, right?
Oh,
wow. The one thing I did want to mention was the I don't know if you saw anything about the pizza kits. Sorry.
Talk to me.
Sorry.
Let me give you. Can you do 45 seconds of just do it? Talk to me about it.
Sure. Yeah. So at the beginning of all this quarantine and coronavirus madness, Erin came to me after spending the morning with Charlie, feeding her early on. She woke me up in bed, throws her phone in my face with the instructions on how to make your own pizza at home.
Yeah.
Saying, let's start doing a kit. Just send it out as a dough, a sauce, and a cheese. People can make it at home, keep their kids busy. Like, that's a great idea. Let's do it. Put it on that afternoon. We've been selling like hundreds a week since we started it. It's caught on at all the other pizzerias. News 12 came in. We told our vendors about it. Like, this is something that's worked for us. Spread the word. And it's something that's just really caught on. And we're actually doing a high school graduation. I think we're
doing the whole class.
Doing like 200 or 300 of them on a Friday.
Dude, that literally just started by her just throwing her cell phone in your face and saying, let's do this.
It was one of those first thing in the morning kind of.
But I think that even proves the point of just doing it. Like, the morning I could have stopped myself and been like, this is a stupid idea. We shouldn't do it. People are going to make fun of us. I don't know, whatever those insecurities come rolling through. But instead I was like, I'm going to type this up. I'm going to jump on it, and we're going to put it on our Instagram at 11 a.m. And I think like we had our first pizza kit call by 11:30. Like, it was just,
That's incredible. Dude, I mean, that's awesome. So the way that I end this is just asking you guys a question and you guys just fill in the blank, right? So take whatever conversation we just had, you could take it or somewhere outside, whatever. So the question is, discovering the blank in you by listening to the blank in them. You want to write that down?
One.
I'll say it again.
Okay.
You can go ahead. You guys can have two.
I was going to say, discovering the confidence in ourselves. Wait, what was the second part?
By listening to the blank in them.
By listening to the confidence in them.
Mm.
I feel like we've gained so much confidence from other people being confident in us.
I love that.
And
literally took the words out of my mouth. Hey, it's Julio. So I'm going to help you.
All right, guys. We're going to end it just like that.
Discovering the confidence in me from the validation from them. People letting you know, not being afraid to use people as a soundboard. And then when they confirm, hey, you're not far off on what you're thinking. You're doing a good thing. You've got the right kind of motivations in mind behind what you're doing.
Someone's on the phone.
Nobody's on the phone. It's.
Oh.
I think it's a fake call or something.
I'm looking like I'm doing work. I haven't.
I answered. I waited. I got nothing.
I'll use that as a thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
All right. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for doing this. This was great. I hope you guys had fun. I'm going to end the recording right now and we'll chat for 2 seconds.